I'm the type of person that when life closes a door and you're supposed to metaphorically look for that window that's opened, I'm the person who stares at the door, crosses my arms, stomps my feet, gives the door a good kick, then tries ignoring the door. Then turns around to see if the door is paying any attention to me ignoring it. The door never is. I will do all of those things. My default in any given situation is to think, how does this affect me? What is this going to do for me? So there's a quote by Viktor Frankl that he was a man who survived the Nazi concentration camps. And he said, I'm going to get this wrong, but close. He said, in between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space lies our choice. And in that choice lies our freedom. There's that space that yoga gives you. It gave me space in my mind, space in my body, so that when the stimulus comes in, that door slams, or that person cuts you off in traffic, or something you don't like happens, and you get uncomfortable. And the first thing you want to do, is to lash out and think, this is about me. That guy cut me off, doesn't realize how important I am. When you have that space, when you have learned through a yoga practice where you go through a practice feeling irritated, where you go into a practice and you're not enjoying yourself, you feel shaky, you feel uncomfortable, you're sweating, you're really not sure if your pants are on the right side out. But you learn, you go through these things and you just keep breathing. And then when you go off the mat, when things happen in life that make you uncomfortable, someone cuts you off, people behave the way you don't like. Most of the time, people behave in ways I don't like. I've raised 3 teenagers into adulthood, and I got to say about 80% of the time, they did not behave in a way that I thought they should be. They still don't. So when that happens, that space, the space that I have because I practice yoga, gives me a chance to consider other opportunities. And those other opportunities could be that cut me off. Maybe he's actually got a life. And there's something going on that he really needs to get somewhere quickly. Maybe that person's action, that person snapping at me, had nothing to do with me, and maybe they're just having a bad day. Maybe they got a thing going on at home that I know nothing about. And when I allow that space to sort of step back and not make everything about me, and then to be okay with, because initially I still will have that self-centered reaction where I'll be angry or irritated, and I'll think, ugh. But when I allow for those other possibilities, then I can soften. The other thing yoga has taught me is that, life will be challenging. Life will make you uncomfortable. And we have so many distractions right now that we can use to take our minds off of what's making us uncomfortable. We pick up our smartphone. We turn on the TV. We turn on the radio. We do anything to keep from experiencing feeling uncomfortable. We distract ourselves. And while that might work for a moment or two, or might even work, for a couple of years, eventually when that stuff gets sort of tamped down, it comes up. And it comes up in ways that make us sick, when we blow up at somebody. So yoga has taught me that I can be really uncomfortable. And I can stay in that part where I'm uncomfortable, like being in a yoga pose where I'm not loving the teacher, where I just want to come out of this pose. I've got sweat dripping in my eyes. I'm thinking I look like the ugliest person in the room. And there's that willowy blonde who is always beside me, balancing on a fingertip with her toe on the back of her head. And I know that I can breathe through it, and none of those other things have anything to do with me. I've been injured in the last year in my practice, like my physical practice, my asana has been reduced by about 90%. And people get confused. They think the physical practice of yoga, the poses, down dog, a warrior, a fancy arm balance on a volcano, they think that's what yoga is. And it is a part of yoga. But if you're not breathing, and if you're not mindful, and if you're not focused, then it's not yoga. So I can do yoga just standing here breathing. I have taught yoga to a group of seated private pilots. And the funny thing there was before I went in to speak to this group, and I mean, these are private pilots. These are kind of, curmudgeonly group of individuals. And the organizer said to me, all right, when you go in there, don't use the word yoga. I just want you to use the word stretching because yoga is going to scare them. I'm going, okay, so these individuals fly thousands of tons of metal filled with flammable fuel over things like oceans, and a word like yoga is going to scare them. So I risked it. I said yoga. And we did yoga in their seats. They sat up. We worked on a couple of breathing exercises. That was yoga. I taught a roller derby team. And I got to tell you, not one of them was, okay, there was a couple of blondes, not sure if it was natural, no judgment, but not one of them was willowy. There was not a size 4 in the bunch. I'm pretty sure there was no Lululemon. There was lots of ink, but not a single Om tattooed on anything. We did the class. I think the music had Bon Jovi, AC/DC, Metallica, and I got to say that was probably my most favorite class. They were amazing. They had such a wonderful time. And while it's pretty to watch somebody who has a beautiful practice, it's much more beautiful to see somebody who struggles through being uncomfortable, who comes back, who breathes, or the person who, you're teaching a class and they've got this wretched look on their face the entire class. They're just like, and then after class, they come to you and you're thinking, oh God, they hate me. They hate me because, yeah. And that was amazing. And it's getting people uncomfortable. It's not rescuing them. It's reminding them to breathe. And then they can let go of their life. They can find some mental stillness. They can find a little bit of peace because, every person, and we forget this, we think, everybody else in the entire world has got it together, has got this thing called life figured out. And we are the only ones that have no idea what we're doing. I figure I should have frequent flyer miles on the seat of my pants because that is how I travel. But the truth is everybody is carrying some sort of burden. Everybody has something that they're worried, they're scared, that they don't think that they're doing well. And when you look at it that way, when you're open to that sort of experience, that everybody struggles, everybody can do yoga. And you might not. You could go to one type of yoga. You could go to a power vinyasa class and say, this isn't for me. But it's like saying, okay, I'm going to have an oatmeal raisin cookie. I really didn't like that. Cookies aren't for me. I'm just never going to eat a cookie or dessert again because that one cookie was no good. There are hundreds of types of yoga. They do yoga with goats. You get into a yoga pose and they have baby goats that'll climb on you. They do yoga to heavy Norwegian metal bands. It's called rage yoga. You can do, as many types of people there's that many types of yoga. So try some yoga. Maybe you just breathe. Maybe you do a pose. Maybe you do 2 poses. Go ahead, be uncomfortable, show up and breathe, and then see how you feel after.